A Small Thanks for a Large Gesture by Gymnast204. Read by Nonsensical Rants. Harry Potter is property of Joanna Rowling and Warner Brothers Incorporated. Harry looked over from where he sat with Luna and spotted the Malfoys sitting together with no one paying them any mind at all. He thought back to the Dark Forest when Narcissa had lied to the Dark Lord, putting her own life and the lives of her family in jeopardy when she made the decision to tell Voldemort that Harry was dead. It was because of her that the downfall of Voldemort was a success at all, or at least as successful as it was. How many more would have died if she hadn't turned? He didn't even want to think about it. Too many had been lost regardless. A lump rose up in his throat at the reminder of the recent deaths, but he quickly regained his composure and knew what needed to be done. Harry got up and walked over to the table where the Malfoys sat. They didn't seem to notice his approaching footsteps, and so he hesitated before speaking. Was this really necessary? He asked himself. Was it really important? He looked around the room. No one will ever have to suffer Voldemort's reign of terror ever again because of her. With that thought in mind, he did not hesitate before speaking again. Mrs. Malfoy? He asked. All three Malfoys turned to look at him. Draco avoided Harry's eyes. Lucius simply got up and walked away. His son soon followed, leaving Narcissa, who remained seated with obvious curiosity. Showing a confidence he did not feel, Harry continued to speak his mind, regardless of whatever reaction he may get in return. Mrs. Malfoy, I just wanted to thank you for what you did out there in the forest. If you hadn't, I'm sure we both wouldn't be here right now. The sneer on her face, which by now was surely an instinctive reaction to Harry, disappeared, replaced by a look he could only have imagined on her. Being thanked must be something she was very much unaccustomed to. I only had the welfare of my son in mind, Potter. Don't get it into your arrogant little head that I ever gave a damn about you, she spat. He had expected something like this, or actually he hadn't expected any type of response from her at all. Still, he was satisfied, and turned to begin walking back to join Luna. He stopped when he heard a quiet voice speak from behind him. Potter? He turned around. Narcissa had her head lowered, with her white blonde hair falling around her face, concealing any expression from him. Her voice had changed from its usual arrogant tone to one which almost shook with an emotion he could only describe as gratitude. You did well, Potter, against the Dark Lord. My son and my family will live long, healthy lives because of what you have done. I am grateful. With that, she quickly got up and left to join her son and husband at the end of the hall. She did not meet Harry's eyes as she brushed past him. Stunned at this display of gratitude from the wife of a Death Eater, he could only stand there for a moment, watching the Malfoys across the room. By now they were walking together out of the Great Hall. Harry soon remembered that Luna was still sitting by herself on the bench, so he walked back to join her.